Alright, 2023 is over in like 6 hours. So I just wanted to have a quick recap of the year. I have here all the books I read, not including the 3 audiobooks, but it's really nice just to see them all laid out like this. And you can see just how many pages I actually got through. So I want to go through each one and just briefly say something about it, whether I liked it, what would I recommend it, etc. And we'll work our way backwards. So the last book I read, which I didn't think I'd get finished, I read it in the space of a week, Three Body Problem. It was a reread, but I think I might have enjoyed it more the second time around, and I think I look forward to potentially probably reading the other 2 books in the trilogy, if not this year, probably this year, sometime, especially with the TV show coming out, if that's any good. So hard sci-fi, but and sort of laid out in a weird format at times, but the very hard science fiction aspects of it are very well explained for the layman or woman. So yeah, very cool, very nice book. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. I really enjoyed this one. It's very short, like sort of one-liner, one paragraph, just sort of blurbs about life and his philosophy and not how he sort of gets through the day. And it was just really interesting to me to see sort of see the man behind the writings, someone 2,000 years ago, someone in a position of such great authority, probably the most powerful person on the planet at that time besides the Chinese emperor that we know of. But yeah, just a fascinating read. Really short, quick read, but like I said, you could honestly read like one sort of saying, one meditation a day, and I mean it would last you years. But it's a very enjoyable read. Before that, we had The Portrait of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It was a cool story, pretty dark. Probably the only, I would say, classic, as in modern classic, piece of literature that I've read this year. Oscar Wilde's wit is incredible, and it really shows through in this book, and especially in the dialogues between characters. So yeah, another enjoyable book. A lot of these I'm going to say, very enjoyable. I liked it, because I did. Except for this one. So this Thus Spoke can't even say it. Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. This was so obtuse and opaque, and the other O word that I can't think of, obscure. I didn't really get anything from it. It was just a very strange story with a lot of strange words, like, let your spirit and your virtue be devoted to the sense of the earth, my brethren. Let the value of everything be determined anew in you. Therefore, ye shall be fighters. Therefore, shall ye be creators. I mean, there are some things I got from it, but it was just so hard to get through. So anyways, that was that one. This big guy, The Dawn of Everything, by the Davids, as I call them. I'll admit, it took me a while to get through. Nonfiction is not a slog, but I'm not a quick reader to begin with. So nonfiction, especially something 500 pages long, and I was of course flipping back and looking at all the notes also. So I guess it was like 600 pages. But such an interesting premise and theory that against the progress of history with a sort of plutocratic capitalist democracy as the end point of history. They just threw at you example after example after example of different civilizations that purposefully chose to live life differently, using both historical records through the anthropologist and archaeological records through the archaeologist author. So just very insightful and deep read, and it's honestly something that I should probably read again, as I'd get a lot more out of it the second time, but it's a big book. Before that we had Piranesi. Yes, Piranesi, that's how it's pronounced. A really short book, sort of a weird sci-fi, where we have this person's sort of stuck in the world of Plato's ideas, which takes the form of a giant palace, and how he sort of navigates that, and it was interesting because the perspective it was told from, I think. Usually, traditionally, we'd have someone from our world discovering a portal to another world and exploring that world, but instead we get the perspective of someone who only knows that world, and that world to them is natural and logical. So it was a very interesting read. I'm going to put these two together because they are not a trilogy, a binology. A memory called Empire and a Desolation called Peace by not Susanna Clark, that was the last one. Arkady Martin. So these two, I think I said, see, this is why I make these videos, because I don't remember, but I think I said that this one was great and it didn't need this one. This one was sort of tacked on. That's right. This one, the characters in it seemed shoehorned into the plot. They didn't seem like the characters you would choose to solve the crisis that was in this book. But overall, the world's very interesting. I love a sort of a different take on an empire. So we have a space empire, but it's an Aztec-based space empire, where they appreciate beauty and culture and art and flowery language and poetry, and especially poetry, and also blood sacrifices and blood. There's a big blood cult. Yeah, very, very interesting in that aspect. Yeah, a world I would like to see more of, but enjoyable. Enjoyable. That's the word of, that's 23's word of the day, the year. So Metamorphosis, whatever, by Franz Kafka. I guess this is another modern classic. It's not really a novel though, it's very small. This one was interesting. It was weird. I guess it's all an allegory or a metaphor or something about a man and how he doesn't fit in with his family or something, but very short. If you want to read it to say you read it, very short. Very weird. Also the ending, not what I expected. We'll just say that. These three. The, what's the trilogy called? The Broken Earth trilogy. So we have The Stone Sky, Obelisk Gate, and The Fifth Season. So for me, this was a reread. Interestingly, I remember enjoying it a lot the first time around. The second time around, not so much. Even though I picked it up thinking, man, those were great. I should read those again. So I read them again, and I think, okay, like there's a lot of horrible death, a child going murderous and murdering, and everyone being okay with it in the end. Those are the things that stand out to me. It was an interesting world, very interesting idea, very unique, very original idea for a world and whatnot, but I don't know. So it wasn't bad, it just didn't really land for me the second time around. So that's those. Also, I have hidden away back here. I'm not a big manga reader. In fact, these are the only ones I've ever read. But I think this year the 12th volume came out, maybe the 11th as well. No, I think it was just the 12th. So I went ahead and read all the ones preceding and up into, and then 12, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the art. I think it's a very, very unique art style. I mean, just look at this one, how sort of clean and sparse that is compared to the volume preceding it, where there's so much violence and so much happening there. And then the one before it's also very tight and clean, but also kind of cutesy. But yeah, anyways, wonderful story. I mean, horrifying story, but such an interesting take on the ship of Theseus argument, and how having creatures that have their entire consciousness spread out throughout the entirety of their body, and have them be able to lose parts of their body but continue existing, but those parts of their body, they lose the memories and the parts of them with their body. So there's no sort of separation from body and mind. Body and mind are very interlinked, and losing parts of one means you're losing parts of the other. And also, of course, our main character, who is absorbing and grafting on parts of other people and absorbing the parts of their personality and memories. And at what point does the character change from no longer being this initial character to a totally different character? I could go on, and I have gone on in other videos. But yeah, Land of the Lustrous by Harrow Ichikawa. Very, very nice. So going further back in time, I read this year Forge of the High Mage, which apparently is still not out in the US, which just blows my mind because I think this came out like 2020? Oh no, sorry, 2023. It did come out 2023, so it did come out this year. Anyways, the American publication's taking forever, apparently. It was really good. I feel like he gets better and better as a writer. Trying to think of the other ones, like Kellenvid's Reach. Don't really remember it much. I don't remember anything much, but I really liked Forge of the High Mage and Taystrin's story, and of course, getting him back into the Malazan world is just a treat. Like I was thinking the other day, I wonder when the next Malazan book's coming out. I read 2 this year. Like we've had 2 this year. Like we're just so spoiled. Also, I love the cover of this, the horrible AI art from like the early days of AI art. Not that we're that much more advanced, but we're more advanced than this. But I love this as sort of a relic of look at how awful it was. Yeah. So Forge of the High Mage, pretty good book. Again, we've got a trilogy, so I'm going to smash them all together. Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, and of course our dear lovely Nona the Ninth. So these books sort of took me by storm. I did not, I'm not even sure how I picked this one up. Must have been recommended online somewhere. That I flew through it. I don't think I've read a book faster in my life than I read this, like 2 days maybe, which for me is a huge deal. It was just such a page turner, and so good. I want to kind of maybe say a little immature in the comedy and stuff, but honestly, I shouldn't even say that. Like I'm one to say that. It was really fun. It was pretty funny. Then we have Harrow the Ninth, which sort of this is how you write a trilogy. Is you have it's like Red Rising. Other examples I can't think of, but you have a contained story. This one taking place only in one mansion for the most part. Very small, one location, very small set of characters. And then the second book in the trilogy, you blow it out of proportions. This is going solar system, galaxy wide. You're going so big. We're going out into space. We're dealing with other planets. Yeah, so that was good. And then we get to Nona the Ninth, which nice hardcover, actually. Okay, no, it is cloth, but I like this matte finish. The artwork's great. Nona, Nona's great. It's like, you will love Nona and Nona loves you. This, ironically by someone with the last name Harrow, this quotation sort of sums it up. Nona is just adorable. This one's, again, see, this is like sort of grown-up Hunger Games-ish. You have a whole bunch of teenagers stuck in a house and they have to solve a murder mystery. This one is crazy death magic in space with space emperors and eldritch horrors. This one is dystopian, post-apocalyptic city urban fiction with this like semi-amnesiac woman who's just adorable and loves everyone and wants everyone to be happy and does her best to be happy with everyone, but it also has supernatural crazy death magic powers. So yeah, what a fantastic trilogy. I say trilogy, there is a 4th book forthcoming at some point, and I very much look forward to it. Electo the Ninth, because again, they are all one self-contained, they're all are one overarching story, but they're almost different genres each one. and it's just the way that the author can write those totally different genres is just amazing, and such page turners. All three of these, I just flew through them. Oh, yeah. So anyways, so that's those three. You can tell which ones I liked more by which ones I spend most time on, even though I've already spent like hours probably worth of videos talking about those. The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. Again, this one was a reread, but very enjoyable, a classic sci-fi. Like if you're thinking one of the best sci-fis of all time, this is going to be top 50. Very interesting. Space communism, anarchism, but like not communism like you think communism, like actual real communism. Again, ties in with the dawn of everything. Different systems of living, different economic systems, political systems, social systems, and a very interesting exploration of those. So, did certainly enjoy that. Plato's Republic. This one was challenging, yet, because it was written as a piece of fiction and as a dialogue, for the most part dialogue, it was easy enough for me to read. I thought it would be harder. Interesting ideas. I felt happy that I could follow along. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Watch the video if you want to know more. See, again, this is, as we're getting further back to the beginning of the year, I'm forgetting more and more. I should have went through and watched all my videos over the span of a week. It would probably take me to sort of catch myself up and remind myself what I enjoyed and what I didn't. So, Eversion. Alistair Reynolds, classic Alistair Reynolds sort of story where you think it's going one direction and then there's a big twist and you're like, oh wow, a twist, it's actually going this direction, and the last 10 pages are total mind-blowing twist on twist on twist, and it just expands the world so much and just blows your mind. He does this in every science fiction book and it's always amazing. I have all of his books, I believe, except for one, which may be ordering for this year. Yeah, very enjoyable. It sort of the jump through different eras. So we have the 17th century sailing ship, the 19th century steamship, the steampunk zeppelin. We have the sort of atom punk spaceship from the 50s, and then we have the sort of the Star Trek style 1960s and 70s ship, and then the futuristic, more modern take on sci-fi spaceships, and sort of this continuing cyclical story that repeats through different eras and different settings. Very interesting, and not that long, which is always a good thing if you're trying to read quantity, but you shouldn't always be trying to read quantity. Though I did say it looks very nice when you see how much you did read. And now we get to The Wonderful God Is Not Willing, which I have to look up. When did this come out? Because I've had this on my shelf, I know, for quite some time. 2021, okay. So I have had this on my shelf for 2 years, waiting, telling myself, oh, I'll wait until the next two in the series come out, then I'll read it. Well, who knows how long that will be. So I finally broke down and read it at the start of this year. I mean, it's Steven Erikson, what can I say? He's my favorite author, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. My critique, because I feel like I have to have a critique because I love it so much, is that the Marines were a bit, I don't want to use the term overpowered, but they felt too do-goody, too self-sacrificing. Also, they're apparently all mages now and all super powerful. The Empire has no high mages anymore. They're all Marines, apparently. So everyone's... Anyways, yeah. But no, interesting setup, we'll say, to an ongoing story. And I just love exploring this world more. I mean, just think... yeah, anyways. What a fantastic... Is this... No, this is the Bantam. Does it have a nice cloth cover? It does have a nice cloth hardcover. I love that, rather than the paper hardcover of the Tor bindings. Yes, so The God Is Not Willing, definitely. I'm not going to order these. This was my favorite one, but this would be one that, and because it's Erikson, I'm going to have to read it again at some point. Probably when No Life Forsaken, I believe is the second book. Whenever that comes out, I'll reread this one. I'm sure I'll get so much more from it, because you always do with Erikson. There's so much in between the lines. So penultimate book, not penultimate, because that would be second to last. This is second to last on our list, but actually the second book I read this year was Cloud Atlas. I think this was a Christmas gift from last year. Again, I adore the movie. The book is just as good. I love how it it has different eras with sort of the same characters reincarnated, but they don't really realize that, but different eras. So like 5 different storylines, I think, throughout different eras, the 1700s and the 1800s and the 1970s and the 2000s and then the far future and then the far, far, far future. But each of them is cut in half, so we get the first half of one and the first half of another, first half of another, and then the whole of the middle one, and then the second half and the second half. It's just really neat how he ties all these threads and how you can see the overarching threads and sort of the connection between the different characters, and you can realize which characters are actually the same characters throughout the entire book, even though they don't know that. This feels very heavy. Anyways, very cool book. And then finally, good old Dhalgren, the book that took me so long to get through. I bought this years ago, gave up the first time, sat down, and I think that's part of the reason why I started making these videos, is because I thought, this will force me to get through this so that I can make the next video and the next video. I bought it because someone said, oh, if you like sci-fi, this is like a very difficult and intellectual sci-fi, and it'll make you think, and it'll be very difficult for you to comprehend. Yeah, that's true, and I don't comprehend it. I guess I'm not smart enough, but it's just, and it's so long, 600 some pages, and it's magical realism, but like post-apocalyptic urban sci-fi, or urban fantasy, I should say. But I didn't get anything of it. I mean, it was neat that how it ends is the same way that it starts, and there's a cyclical nature to it. And it did make me appreciate poetry a bit more, and I have been reading a book of poetry probably ever since this, one poem every day. But it was probably my least favorite book of the year. Okay, maybe not as bad as Thus Spoke Zarathustra. That might be below it, although that one book was a lot shorter and I got through it a lot quicker than I could this. So yeah, so those are the books I read this year. The 3 not pictured are the 3 audiobooks, the Pierce Brown second arc of the Red Rising series. What are they? It was Red Rising, Golden Sun, Morning Star. So it was Iron Gold. Can't remember the names of them. Red God's the one that's coming out. Lightbringer's the 6th one. Iron Gold, Dark Age, and Lightbringer. And again, those books are just fantastic. And I wonder if it's because I read the audiobooks or listen to the audiobooks. Like I was talking to a friend of mine who's read Red Rising for the first time, and he's actually reading the physical copy. And I asked, like, did you enjoy it? Like, I think it's amazing. He was like, yeah, no, it's pretty good, but like, I wonder if that's just because that's Red Rising, the first book, which is kind of like, or if that's because the voice actors in the audiobooks are just incredible, and the way they bring it to life. And like, I listen to it while I'm commuting for like an hour plus, and so you're just totally absorbed in the world. And it's just, to me, it's what superhero movies and not that I watch anime, I haven't seen any in a few years, but that sort of like crazy epicness of just super powered, awesome people doing amazing, incredible, blow your mind sort of things. And that's, to me, that's the Red Rising series. So Iron Gold, I felt was meh. It was very much a setup and a catch up from the 10-year gap from the previous series. Dark Age, amazing. The first half of it, the battle/war, was just mind blowing. Second half of it was okay, and then Lightbringer was just start to finish just a roller coaster of just so good. Although I was very anxious. I think it's the sort of thing that I would enjoy more the second time around, just because I know what's going to happen. Like, you don't want to be spoiled, but being spoiled, you don't have that anxiety of, oh no, is this character going to die? You either know, yes, this character's going to die. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't have to, not, you can do about it, but you don't have to worry about it because you know it's going to happen. Or this character's not going to die, in which case this is even more awesome. So I think it's the sort of thing that reading it a second time around and not having that literal anxiety that I've had listening to it, I think it would be even better. And I can't wait for Red God. That's one of the most anticipated. No Life Forsaken and Red God are, I think, my two most anticipated books. And Elective of the Ninth, of course. Hopefully some of those will come out this year, but we'll see. So that was 2023. What a fantastic year. I have like sort of a preview of what's coming in the new year. I have on order Summerland by Hanu Rajaniemi. Rajaniemi. If that's the Finnish pronunciation. His sci-fi series is one I've probably read the most. I've reread it 3 or 4 times, and I'm gonna have to do it again. I might do that coming up in 2024 and make videos of them because I just adore those books. But he's also written a book called Summerland, another sci-fi that it came out years and years ago, but I never gotten around to it. So I finally found it online and ordered it. I also have Stephen Erickson's Willful Child, which for some reason I hadn't ever read. So that one was very hard to get a hold of online. I was surprised, but it's coming. I ordered it weeks ago, and it's coming from who knows where. So that's on its way, so I'll read that. And also, I just got these 2 yesterday. So, All Systems Red, the start of the Murderbot series, the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. Heard a lot of good things about this. Also, look how short this is. It's like a novella, basically. So I'm going to fly through this probably today and tomorrow, or just today. And if it's as good as I hear it is, we'll continue on. I read the first part of it. So far it hasn't grabbed me, but literally I've read 1 chapter. Just the sort of the humor of the main character I haven't really gotten or vibed with, but that may come with time. And I have Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, which I've heard lots of good things about. I honestly have no idea. I think it's a fantasy novel. Yes, it says fantasy on the back. I literally know nothing about it. It's just when I'm searching for books, Lies of Loch Lamora, I know that. I've seen this title scattered throughout the internet everywhere. It's a pretty big book, 500 pages. So that's also coming. So those 4 are coming. Like I said, probably the Quantum Thief trilogy or the Jean Le Flambeur trilogy, whatever it's called. Probably read that again. I never hear much about this, but honestly, it's like one of my favorite trilogies of all time. It's just... Anyways, I'm not going to go on and on about that because that's just tangent upon tangent. Anyways, that's 2023. We're looking forward to 2024. Hopefully we'll continue making these videos so that I can go back and actually remember what the heck I just read.